I've watched my fair share of scary movies. Good ones, bad ones, good bad ones. And they usually teach us the same messages, that every creepy basement is haunted and everything older than your grandmother at a flea market is cursed. If this is presented as so matter of fact from Hollywood to our relatives, then why do so many people label you as superstitious when you even talk about them? So I got thinking, why haven't I seen a ghost? I haven't seen Bigfoot in the woods, or a shadow figure standing at the end of a hallway. And I've been in hundreds, if not thousands of hallways in my life, so I'd like to know, can a group of amateur ghost hunters find evidence beyond a doubt of the paranormal? Welcome to Phantom Rivers, where we dig a little bit deeper and investigate strange stories and legends. This season, we'll be looking into haunted tales from Prince George, a city located in the center of British Columbia. The city of Prince George's origins can be traced back to a fur trading post founded in 1807 by Simon Fraser on the traditional Clately-Tenay territory. With a population of 82,000 people, trails to bike, and scenic lakes to paddle in all directions, you wouldn't think that it's much different from any other northern town on the highways. At least nothing paranormal. Growing up in Prince George, I've heard some ghost stories throughout my entire life. Now, I am by no means a professional paranormal investigator, so to start this journey, I'll need to know the skills needed to investigate a location and the gear needed for such a task. So it only makes sense to kick this off by talking to a team of pros. This group has been called to investigate suspected paranormal phenomena in cities all across British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan, and they call themselves the Haunted Crew of Canada. All right, so I'm joined here with the Haunted Crew of Canada. Could you tell me your names and a little bit about what you guys do?
My name is Mike, and you are?
I am Jeff.
Welcome, Mike and Jeff.
Thank you. Yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
the Haunted Crew of Canada, and we investigate all things paranormal all through Canada, the United States. We've been down to Washington, Oregon, Alberta, BC. Wherever there's ghosts, we'll go.
So what got you guys into ghost hunting?
Myself personally, Mike actually got me into ghost hunting. I was back home in BC. I was in university for computer information systems. Mike needed some help with some audio. Thought I might be able to help him out. And that was back in, that was a long time ago, 2013, roughly. And he asked if I would be able to give him a hand. I said, sure. Well, what could it hurt? I mean, kind of curious about this. So started listening to things and started hearing things that shouldn't be there. And I'm like, oh, I am very intrigued. And I was hooked ever since.
What was your first investigation? Was it a house call or a place that was just known to be haunted?
My first residential investigation would have been a house in Maple Ridge. It was kind of two houses built into each other, like two houses on a property, and then they kind of threw together kind of like a hallway to link the houses. It was one of the creepiest investigations I've ever done to date. Then my first like commercial or public investigation was at the Stave Lake Powerhouse in Pitt Meadow, Maple Ridge area. How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, my very first investigation it was a private investigation plus public investigation. We were hosting a fundraiser actually. We did our private investigation first, and that was my very first time. That was in Merritt, BC, at a place called the Bailey House, and it was quite eye-opening because going in, you're kind of like, okay, I don't really expect anything to really happen. It's not going to happen to me. And you get there, and all of a sudden, things are going off around you, and you're like, oh my goodness, this is so weird and real. And then you have to kind of collect yourself and host people the next day, and to take people through the house that you're just terrified to be in. So it was quite eye-opening, and it definitely, it gets you hooked. It really draws you in.
Bit of an adrenaline rush on these.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Do you often come across paranormal activity on most hunts, or is it kind of a rare thing that you found pops up?
For me, I view it like fishing. That's the best analogy to use on people who aren't into ghost hunting to kind of explain it. You go on that lake, you can't keep fish off your hook. But then the next day, nothing. Then the next day, maybe one or two. I find it ghosts for people once too. And if they don't want to talk to you, they're not going to talk to you. But a lot of places we go to aren't haunted. Sometimes they'll think it's Aunt Edna who's waking you up every night at 3 a.m., but really it's your faulty furnace making the sound. So that's one thing we do. We not everything's a ghost, and we're not scared to tell people that. We give people no BS like results.
Just honest answers.
Yeah.
We've listened to, we've reviewed hours of footage to nothing, and yet people are like, no, there's something there, and it's unfortunately you kind of gotta let them down gently. You tell them we didn't find anything. That doesn't mean that there isn't anything there, but there was nothing there for us. If that makes sense, though.
And one
because
thing,
like Mike said, you're not gonna find a ghost every time.
And one thing we like to do is we like to say we came and investigated your house because you called us saying that there's ghosts in your house. We're not going to come once, we're going to come 3 times. And then we're going to get a baseline of, is there something there? Get used to the sounds in your house. And then, because you can't just go to one place and call it haunted or not. You got to kind of do the research. You got to do the research of the properties, of the surroundings, previous owners, current owners, and then get a consistency of repetitive visits.
What do the research steps look like when you come across or get a call to go somewhere?
They're really extensive, especially with us. We ask a lot of questions. A lot of the questions we ask are personal. Like we'll use your example when we're talking about haunted locations. So you call us, it'll either be Jeff or I that'll chat to you. We'll ask for who you are, what's your history, medications, drugs,
previous drug use. That's a big one.
Have you ever dealt with the occult, Ouija boards? Have you ever gone on paranormal investigations? What's your religious denomination? And then we'll also go into your property history, your previous owners, previous tenants, previous roommates to you, what happened in the surrounding areas of your house or residence, and
the history of the land.
Yeah, so much more to it than just going into to bust the ghost.
You've mentioned before a couple of your ghost hunts, but what's your favorite ghost hunt up to date?
I have a 3-way tie.
Okay.
Number 1 would be the SS Sycamoose in Penticton.
Yes.
Okay.
Paddle wheel boat. We were doing a investigation there one night, and I was still newish to doing the historic places. This was quite a while, like years ago. I was still very skeptical of you can't see ghosts, but I've heard the EVPs. I've experienced some things, but I still kind of had the hard head about it. And when I was walking on the top deck where the captain would be, I saw a full body apparition come out of where the captain would be. He looked at me and just vanished.
Oh man.
And then after I was done being scared, the curator was there, and we asked, and she showed a photo of the original captain, who that was one of the ghost stories was said to be there. And damn, man, it was like a carbon copy.
Oh wow.
And another one would have been the Wolf Creek Inn in Oregon, British Columbia. And sorry, not Oregon, United States.
Okay.
Different country, sorry. Is just a really historic on the Oregon, at the end of the Oregon Trail. It's kind of like a roadhouse way back in the 1800s. Had a lot of famous people there. The TV show Ghost Adventures was there. And just the history alone made it one of my favorite places. I suggest if anyone's going on road trips to Oregon or likes history, just to look up the Wolf Creek Inn.
One of my favorite places has to be Barkerville. We had some pretty exclusive rights to go in there. We had 3 nights all to ourselves in the entire ghost town. So that was quite something. It was quite neat because we got access to buildings that are usually shut down even during peak season when the tourists are there, that you can only really see from the outside. So we actually got to go in there. It was more just being a little history nut, it was a little more fun just to go in these buildings and actually get to see all this stuff. And the ghost hunting stuff kind of came on the side. And then, but it was pretty cool because we had some pretty neat experiences there, especially around in the Chinese district of Barkerville.
That is one place that when I've mentioned to a few people around my town that this is what I'm doing, most people have been like, you gotta check out Barkerville. You gotta go there. You gotta talk to them.
The graveyard, there's a Cottonwood Roadhouse on the way to Barkerville. There's Barkerville, obviously, itself. There's the courthouse up the road from Barkerville too. It's probably one of the best places in British Columbia for history alone. And the wonderful people there that keep it together and keep it going and make it look how it does. It's probably one of my favorite destinations in the world. So
that's fantastic. Actually, you just took your daughter there last summer too.
I did.
Just for vacation.
Yep.
So much she likes it.
Have you ever been really frightened in a ghost hunt? Has anything like really stood out to you in a specific event?
Yeah, we both have an interesting story. Do you want to go ahead or do you want me to go first?
We're going back to Barkerville for this story. 2015, I was investigating with a team up there, and we were in one of the older buildings, and he was walking through, and typical ghost hunting, usually a tell that there may be paranormal activity is temperature spike down, like it gets colder, and they say you feel cobwebs. And our investigator at the time, he felt the temperature go down. I was filming him, like I had a camera on him, and then he was like, "Oh my God, I just walked through cobwebs." And then all of a sudden, he swears every word in the swear word book, and runs out of this building like a bat out of hell. And this was in late March, so there's still snow. It's cold up there for us lower mainlanders. Nope, usually it's still too cold. So he's ripping off all of his layers and his jackets and all that sort of stuff. And he had 3 scratches on his back that were, when you scratch yourself on like a berry bush or something like that, and you see the initial line and then the red raising around the line, 3 of them on his back, and they were probably about 8 to 9 inches long.
Oh man. Oh, that is creepy.
It was horrible to watch, because then we're like, well, did we keep investigating tonight? Who did we make annoyed? But no, we brushed ourselves off, went and had a coffee, and went back at it. But that sticks to my mind hard. That was because everyone thinks ghost hunting's fun and cool, which it is. It's very fun and cool. And however, you don't know who you're dealing with. There's no caller ID to who you're talking to. So if you're not being overly friendly to people and just being like, "Come at me, bro, come talk to us," that's not the right way to do it.
You're going to get a response of a normal person annoyed, right?
Yeah.
My terrifying experience, which I probably will never forget a day in my life, actually happened in Merritt, BC. I was with Mike and our group here, and we were in the top part of a house here in a room classified as a woman's room. So in there was myself, Mike, and 3 other investigators, sorry. And as we were standing there, we're asking questions, we're being very quiet, and Mike starts coughing. And we're kind of looking at Mike like, okay, chill it out here. We're trying to get stuff, right? And he's like, no, he's like, something's wrong, something's wrong, something's tightening around my neck. And we're like, okay, and we have a camera on him, and we can't see anything. We're using IR light, it's dark, and we can't see anything. And so one of our investigators says, well, maybe you need to remove yourself from the house. And at this point, he's gasping for air. And it's quite a ways from that bedroom. It's all the way down the hallway, down the stairs, down another hallway to the exit of the house. He just barely makes it outside. He ends up, mind me saying, Mike, ends up throwing up into the flower bed because he couldn't breathe. And so he's gasping for air, catches his air, collects himself for about a minute, and then comes back inside. I was so amped up about this that I literally put down the camera I was holding and grabbed my audio recorder and run downstairs to film him with an audio recorder. So kind of a bonehead move on my part. So I come in and I'm like, you okay? And he's like, oh my goodness, something was choking me. He's like, had me around the throat. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't talk. He goes, I literally threw up and it just released. And end up looking at underneath his shirt here, and you could see a handprint across his neck.
Oh. And
of course, I'm like, let me get a picture of that. And I grab my audio recorder, and I'm like, I don't have the camera. And by the time I ran up and grabbed the camera, come back down, it was starting to fade, and the pictures didn't really turn out. Unfortunately, I saw it with my own eyes. I saw him being choked. Everyone in that room saw him being choked. And it was pretty scary to sit back, and it was very scary to sit back and think you're being choked by something you can't see. You can't fight it off. There's nothing you can do. The only thing he could do was run out of that house. Mm-hmm. And he did, and thankfully it released.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Definitely didn't want him sticking around, so.
No. That was probably the craziest thing I've ever witnessed.
That's hardcore.
Yeah. It stuck with me. It's the one thing people, what's the scariest thing? When people ask me, and it's like, well, do I got a story for you?
I was going to say, you mentioned some cameras, audio recorders. What are the gear that you usually tend to bring on ghost hunts?
Well, you can talk about cameras. I got the recorder.
Yeah, the recorder. Audio and video is basically our number one. Like we use Sony 4K infrared cameras. We use Zoom and Tascam audio recorders. And ghost gear, we're pretty light on it. We don't like a lot of the gimmicky stuff. We like a lot of the baseline reading stuff for EMF, temperature, and like sensors, like motion sensors. Mm-hmm. Those are pretty good to use. You see a lot of people using things like an Ovilus or phone apps, and all that stuff is not accurate, is the word I'll use. if you're looking for a ghost, you'll guaranteed find it with one of those. That's me with a little tongue-in-cheek kind of digging at that stuff. But if you're really wanting to document, you got to put your time in, especially audio. Jeff is we call him the audio guy. That's his nickname, audio guy.
Yeah.
And he can tell you that most of our best results are EVP.
Absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, I wish we would get more visual. We do get a lot of creepy feelings and stuff like that, but I mean, they don't really show up on visual. Where we get a lot of our evidence is in the audio. And so we made it a point years ago that we were going to use high-end recorders. So like Mike explained, we use Tascam, we use Zoom 360, we use Zoom 4H, and then we also use Zoom, mostly Zoom recorders, and they're excellent for picking up everything.
Do you have a process afterwards, a workflow of kind of going through all the recorders and all these cameras afterwards? Like, how much time would you spend going through everything?
Jeff, how was your day today?
Well, I had a day off from work today, and I've spent the first, I would say, 6 hours of my morning going through audio from an investigation Mike had just completed a couple weeks ago.
So a lot.
Yeah, and I still have about another 3 hours left. So I mean, our process is pretty good. Like, the second we're done investigating, we'll grab camera cards, we'll grab the cameras, the audio recorders, and start dumping them on the computer right away.
Yeah, and if I have, or if Jeff or I have another clip where we're both unsure or it's too good to be true type clip, because we do get those Class A AVPs where you're like, oh my God, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
I'll send them. So Jeff will listen, I'll listen. We're like, dude, that's really good. So I'll send them to my friend in the States, and he actually has a program that can separate the voice. It just separates voice to see if it's human, it'll separate it, and if it's not, it can't detect it.
Stay in the back. Yeah, I'll stay in the background.
Yeah.
For advice you would give to someone that's kind of starting out or is pretty amateur about it, what advice would you give to someone like that looking to get into ghost hunting?
Be careful. You know, it's fun gunning, running into a place, asking a bunch of questions. That's fine, but also be leery that, you know, whether you believe it or not, things can come home with you, and um, they will affect you. They will affect you, and you may not even notice it. Someone else might notice it.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would say be protected. Go in protected, come out protected, but have fun at the same time. Don't take it too serious. Be respectful. Please be respectful. That's another big thing. Because I mean, you make
Yeah.
everybody look bad if you're not.
That's the advice I'd give to be respectful. Always ask for permission. Never break the law. Never trespass. Reach out to teams in your area, not just one. Reach out to a few of them, and get kind of a general consensus of what your groove would be when investigating. No one knows everything. Everyone asks questions. We're learning daily of different techniques, different things about the field, and just ask lots of questions. Reach out to Jeff or I with Haunted Crew, and we'll answer anything for you.
Absolutely.
Or other teams too, just to get that general, well, this is how they do it, this is how they do it, but I'm going to try it this way, a hybrid version of how they do it. You know, it all works out.
You mentioned protection to go in and out. Do you have any rituals at the end of hunts you have to make sure nothing like that happens to you?
We sage. We use sage, like a sage sweetgrass blend. I'm Métis, so I really love my culture, and so I really believe in that. It's close to my heart. Some other people are religious. Some other people use stones, like gemstones, and it's all in your preference of what you feel protects you.
Yeah, I personally do the sage as well. Just I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes that it works, and don't ruin a good thing, right? So
I've heard a few sage stories of people having trouble in their apartments and then using sage and no issues. They'll still have something come up once in a while, but anything that was malicious seemed to stop there. So
it's all about the intent and what you believe in that can protect you as well. If you believe that sage is going to protect you, it's going to protect you, but you have to follow through with your believing. And that's one thing when we go in investigations, we'll help people cleanse, we'll help people sage, whatever makes them feel better when we leave. We don't just leave the clients. There's aftercare to this too. But if we feel that our saging or salt or whatever people want to do doesn't work, then we have no problem saying, well, you can call so-and-so or you can call these guys and they can help you too. Because at the end of the day, we want people to be safe and feel cleansed and clear.
Yeah, we had a place in Abbotsford, BC, that we went there, and we were there. We did our 3 times there, and finally we asked, you know, what's the outcome that you're hoping for, and they wanted us to cleanse the house. So we went through the best of our knowledge and did the cleansing the way we have always done. And I think it was about 2.5 weeks later, they said, "Oh, activity's starting to pick up again." So obviously they're saying, "Well, it didn't work. Can you come out and do it again?" And we said, "Okay, we'll do it again." So we did it again. And then about a week after that, she's like, "No, still didn't work. There's still something going on." And so we said, "Okay, we think it's time for you to get a hold of, you know, what's your denomination? Do you have a denomination? Maybe that's the route to go." And they ended up reaching out to their local church, and they had someone come out and bless the house. And we haven't heard anything back, so we would assume that it worked.
Yeah,
I think that's a good way to look at it. It really comes down to the power of the mind.
Like Mike said, it comes down to your personal belief. And if you see someone doing something that you don't personally believe in, you're not going to really give it a time of day. So if you see something that you believe in, then you're going to be like, okay, this is going to work 100%. And it's just that positive energy as well being thrust into that place.
Do you think it could work in kind of the opposite way, where if someone doesn't believe in any of this, are they less likely to maybe have activity start up in the first place?
That's actually a really good question.
Yeah. I think maybe the activity might be there, but they might be, I don't want to say dumb, but they're dumbfounded to it. They'll always come up with an explanation of why. If
The
they,
wind, it's the car.
yeah, exactly.
Cars.
The house is settling. The house is settling. We hear that all the time. Well, it's just the house settling. It's like, well, the house doesn't settle. Your door's closed or open from a closed latch spot, you know? So I think if you're that
Closed.
stubborn to believing, if you're that close to it, you will never experience it.
Anything you'd like people to know about ghost huntings just for the general population?
I would say have fun with it. Don't be scared. Have fun with it, but have that little bit of fright in you, because that's going to tell you when you should leave.
Yep.
The healthy fear.
Healthy fear.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
And we can't hammer home enough. Be respectful. Obey
Absolutely.
the law. Ask for permission. And go get yourself a cool audio recorder and start there.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I think that is excellent advice. Thank you guys for coming on today. It's been great having you. I've loved having this chat here.
Yeah, we loved it too.
No problem. Anytime. It was fun.
All right. I'll see you around. We would like to give a huge thanks to Mike and Jeff from the Haunted Crew of Canada. They were a wealth of knowledge, and the information they provided is going to be invaluable moving forward with our goal of capturing evidence of the paranormal. We not only went over the gear needed and the strategies used while investigating, but also the importance for respect of the location and the possible entities residing within. We will without a doubt use this information on our upcoming ghost hunt. Join us, where on the next episode we go on a hunt at the Sisters Rock and Gem, a potentially haunted location right smack dab in the middle of Prince George. I'm Daniel Soros, and this is Phantom Rivers.